We are now live. I hope you have your live hats on.
Hang on, let me get my live chair.
Cool. Get your live chair.
Sweet. Like, why am I so high?
I bet you marijuana has something to do with that.
I left it on there.
Talking about elevation, sir.
Oh, elevation.
It was very elevated there.
One might say lit.
Alright, that's it. We just lost all the viewer base.
Oh, did I say the wrong word? Shit.
What? People saying hit words.
Lit.
What about if I said like bussin'?
I was gonna say, this is Sam Adams.
Oh no.
I just said that to my wife earlier tonight. She's like, "What?" I try out all the new slang on her.
You gotta keep up with the youngins of the day.
What do you think? Am I dripping? Am I dripping?
No. Drip.
It's not drip. It's just drip.
Yeah.
Am I drippy?
It's your drip.
I'm drippy all the way to my tippy top.
Tippy.
And my
Yes.
socks and my flippy flops.
Yep.
I don't know.
Your money don't jiggle.
It falls.
It opens up and goes straight to the kids.
To do when book club is over.
What?
We made a cherry cobbler. It's gonna be so good.
Oh, cobbler. See, Steve,
Oh,
complicated.
sorry. Goulash.
What?
Everything we make is goulash.
No,
Sneak.
that's
you
not
ruined
true
it.
at all. I don't know why you keep saying that. Actually, if you put
Because every time I
macaroni
make
noodles
something, you're like,
in anything that's a tomato-based, liquidy, soupy thing,
it doesn't have
that
to be
is goulash.
macaroni. Doesn't even
Stop
have to be
it.
Macaroni. Even if it's spaghetti,
Pastas.
he calls spaghetti macaroni or goulash. So
No,
that's
spaghetti is spaghetti, but if you mix a whole bunch of other shit into your spaghetti, then that's goulash.
fine. So like spaghetti with zucchini and
Corn?
corn.
Corn?
I've seen people put
Fucking
fucking
yuck.
corn in their spaghetti.
That's
No.
disgusting.
I know! It's
We
goulash.
put like onions, maybe sometimes mushrooms and zucchini in ours.
It's more
Onions, mushrooms, zucchini, that's all
vegetables.
pretty well
That
accepted.
jives.
Yeah.
Checks out.
That passes the fit check. Yo.
Okay. So now we just need to run.
So now he
around
knows.
and see
Now he
Back
knows
to this
that we
cherry
don't
cobbler.
want
Are you having it with
when
vanilla
it's
ice cream?
appropriate.
Oh, that's a
Yes.
good question.
Yes, we got French
Good
vanilla
question.
ice cream.
French vanilla.
French vanilla.
The
Hi.
best.
We actually bougie today.
Hey, that's P-Pops.
What's up, Pops?
The fuck is my camera?
Hi,
It's on the computer
P-Pops.
monitor.
I was
Hi.
thinking about P-Pops a little earlier today.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know.
I had a rotisserie chicken,
Mm.
and then I ended up boiling. Well, I got what's left in the Instapot. I'm gonna make like a broth and get the bones all,
Like a bone broth.
get the rest of it out. You know?
Yum.
Sounds
yeah.
fancy.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And you thought about P-Pops because...
She's got chicken bones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You were thinking about her chickens then.
Boiling our chickens alive.
Well, you know, I'm a.
I mean, you gotta do it at some point, right?
Well, yeah. We don't
Maybe
got a lot
not
of meat in
alive.
this house, so it was just like a unique event for me.
I've done my fair share of neck popping. We've processed our own chickens multiple times. It's traumatizing.
Any of that. That's why I don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
It's
I got
traumatizing.
upset because I was
They
eating
don't
a
mind.
piece of chicken yesterday, and I was thinking, this was a little sweet chicken like I have in my backyard. And I stopped eating, like, I could only eat the vegetables after that. It made me so sad.
Wow, what about
I
all
don't
them
like
cherries
eating-
that you just cobbled?
I don't
So-
like
Now
eating
that I do not feel bad for it.
meat from
My-
the grocery store because I know their lives were shitty.
My dad had to do a lot of neck popping on the chickens, and he said he had a few that would run around after.
Yeah, ours
That
did
ever
that too.
happened?
That's
I
not,
see
My
that's not a
grandmother,
joke.
she would pick up a chicken by its head, swing it like that, and then, like, she would chop its head off, like, and cook it. Like,
And the
after
ones that
mom-
run
This
around
is
are
a
possessed by the
wonderful
devil, no
conversation
kitty.
starter.
those are the best ones, man. Those taste the best. Full of life.
Yeah.
My granddad, I watched him do this one time. First of all,
Likes his chicken still
he
cooking.
didn't do this like with every snake, but I watched him just bend over, reach down, and grab a snake by the tail, and just like one quick like pop over his head, and the snake's head just went flying.
Whoosh.
Whoopsh, like one time.
What
Really?
crack?
Yes.
When I was little, my dad would go around killing the moles in our property,
Mhm.
and I would retrieve them all and bury them in boxes and have funerals for them.
little mole funerals.
You
Yeah.
get messy.
Shit. Okay. On that note, we read 3 chapters, and they were good chapters.
Yeah, I said we had to stop her.
We read
Yeah.
Wizard's Rainbow into Closing the Year, and then Taking the Ball. So there's a lot of jumping around these chapters. You guys ready for a
lot of
recap?
shit going on.
Speaking of balls,
Captize me, Captain.
I've got my Ocean Jasper.
That is beautiful.
It looks censored. It looks like you're not supposed to show it to us.
My bad. I shouldn't be showing off my balls on stream.
It's probably under
How dare
investigation
you.
and is protecting its identity.
It's like you wrote your home address on part of the ball and it keeps getting blurred out. It's my phone number.
There we go. It's really nice, but it's purple. I can't really
yeah.
tell in this light, but it's
It's really
really nice. This is like the size of ball I imagine Rhea having. You know, imagine something super tiny. I imagine something like this or a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
So I don't know if you saw it in Discord already. I went to Goodwill and had one heck of a find.
There's a
All
lot of
these
books in there.
books.
I was trying to go through them. I didn't recognize
Those-
all of them.
That number 7. Does that have the pictures in it? Dark Tower
Yes.
number 7. Oh,
Yes, all 3 of the big kings have it in there.
Nice.
Wolves of the Kala, Songs of Susanna.
Dude, that is like
Dark Tower.
the only place I used to ever get my Stephen King books was from thrift shops.
Went through the keyhole. I had to get the other copy
Yeah,
of
I
the
was
Mixed Links.
I got Billy Summers for 99 cents.
Yep, Billy
It's a new
Summers.
book. Like, I mean, not brand new.
It's newish,
But it's
yeah.
hardback. And then Rose Matter, hardback.
But I love Rose Matter. I love
Me
Rose
too.
Peter Straub or Black House. Sorry.
Black House is so good, dude.
Is that part 2 to the Talisman?
Yes.
And we got the Talisman as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
you like
saw you got the Talisman too.
Pet Cemetery. I got out of Time to Kill because I love that movie.
Sure, yeah.
What were you saying, Peepops?
Oh, I was asking him what the hell he was watching. Had some weird high pitched sound in the back.
Gotcha. There's some old like paperbacks like Firestarter, It, Skeleton Crew, Dark Half, and then Night Street. We got one Richard Bachman, and it's The Regulators. And Christine. Finders
Regulators
Keepers,
mount
that's all
up.
of them.
Regulators and Desperation are like 2 fucking fever dreams of the same shit.
Desperation was over there as well, but I think we already have a copy of that, don't we?
Do what? What?
Desperation.
I believe so.
Yeah, those
But
2
there
are
was a
really
couple
good
we had.
books, but they're fucked.
I think we're only missing one book of the Dark Tower series.
Nice. Very nice. I'm gonna start with the review here. Chapter 5 started off with all of our baddies having a baddies meeting. It was like bad guys only meeting. They kind of discussed their plans. They did meet with the man named Latigo. They talked about their plans. Latigo wanted to make sure that like they understood that they got to get rid of the boys. The boys are not part of the plan, and he said the good man wants them gone. You kind of get a little bit of their plan here, where you learn that they're trying to convince them that they plan to move on Fair Day, like to move all the stuff that they're hiding on Fair Day, but then they were planning on taking them before. Um, we also know some like bad shit's gonna go down. We're not sure exactly what.
It warned some people to stay out of town come reaping day.
Yeah, they definitely told him that last time about like we don't like strangers to come to town, but like obviously they know that's a big fat lie.
But they think they're young enough to fall for it.
Yeah. They definitely have some
assumptions about our content.
Yeah, they're definitely laying some plans here. They also talk about going and retrieving the what do you call it? A pretty trifle. They're talking about taking the ball back from Rhea. They're talking about what
everybody's getting ready for reaping around this time.
Yep, they're talking about what the ball could do. There's a really cool part here. It said, Reynolds murmured curiously, "Have you seen it yourself, sighed Latigo?" "Not up close." They're talking about the ball. "But I have seen men who have." Latigo paused. "One such ran mad and had to be shot. The only other time I saw anyone in such condition was 30 years ago on the edge of the big desert. 'Twas a hut dweller who'd been bitten by a rabid coyote." So like they kind of know that that's kind of the reason why John Farson doesn't have the ball with him, because they kind of know that like to keep it will drive you mad. So he's kind of using it as a tool, but then like sending it away so he doesn't get like addicted to it. And the guy that did see people who like did get addicted to it, he said they pretty much went rabid for it, which is it's pretty fucking scary.
He called it hungry, I think, as well.
Yeah, definitely some scary shit going on there. I think we kind of find ourselves once again with Susan and Cordelia having arguments. Cordelia's pretty much let herself go here. She's not in a good place. They end up screaming and yelling, shrieking. They've kind of been at odds for a while, right? Like it's not anything new, but it's definitely coming to pretty like
Susan's worried about her.
Well, yeah, but Susan's also like just fucking tired of it.
Yep. Aunt Cordelia is doing the downward spiral.
Yeah, she's also heard rumors that the guy she likes, this Jonas, has been shacking up with the mayor's sister. It's kind of been eating at her. Beep. Trying not to get too far ahead of myself here. This is when Susan finally gets to meet Roland's friends. They have an official how-do. A nice, quick, long days and pleasant nights.
Yep.
Formalities. But we see a different light to our content because they're now back together. Roland's not as blinded by keeping everything separate. This new meeting is to keep to sort of bridge the gap between two. That way they can go together as one.
Yeah, well, they are definitely starting out chapter 4. Roland calls them quartet, one from many. Everyone knows it. They're supposed to be together. Good night. See you tomorrow.
I think that's where I got to. Was right around there.
Right. Sorry. So, they pretty much decided to just lay out all the plans here. They're talking. They're like Roland's opened up. The whole group is like part of it. It's an actual like group project at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like probably what the first time we've really seen them all like working together, and they don't really give you many details about what they're gonna do, but it kind of comes together as they describe it. They want to destroy the tankers, capture and destroy John Farson's men, stop them from getting the supplies, and kill the men who come after it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Seems
Into the thinny.
By
Yeah,
a pretty
like-
interesting trap. That they're planning.
yeah, scary trap too. From all the different ways they've described it, it's not a happy place in there.
Yeah. Just being around the thinny drives people mad.
Roland's pretty much told them we're going to lead them into Eyeball Canyon. You come across them a little bit later on, but they're digging a trench and hiding some like fire brush, and they're putting gunpowder down, like they're like setting traps, and they're like preparing for this, like they are ready for this to happen.
They have a pathway in, and they have their way out. They'll collapse on their way out, and then once they're in, they'll collapse them in and brush fire them towards the thinny.
Scary shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Elaine brings up getting the ball from Rhea. So both of our parties here know what it is that she has and how powerful it is, but both of them are going to deal with it a little bit differently. They both have to go get it and retrieve it, but they want to bring it back to one of them to John Farson, the guy that had it first, and Roland wants to bring it to his dad. So they do a little bit of hypnosis on Susan just to make sure like that they understand the interaction between Susan and Rhea the first time, because she does mention things going pink and having like a spell put on her, and there's this whole thing happening here where
The
you know
moon was pink.
Yeah, pink moon.
Everything was pink.
You also get a flashback
they-
here of Roland when he's thinking back, and his father actually warns him about this, right? He says, "I doubt you see anything that touches on our interest, not in Magus, but you have to keep your eye out for a color of the rainbow, the wizard's rainbow, that is. It's the grapefruit, by which I mean it is the pink one."
Beware the pink one.
It said that there were 13 glass balls in Maryland's rainbow, one for each of the 12 guardians, and one representing the nexus point of the beams. They're talking about also the 13th ball, which is Black 13. But he's like, don't worry about that one though. We think the pink one's around. For whatever reason. You get a little bit of backstory about the Wizard's Rainbow. It's like sentient, like these balls are awake and
Yes.
aware, and we kind of have seen that so far by the way that it just feeds Rhea like what she wants, and just continues to like suck her life force.
Mm-hmm.
They get through the hypnosis with Susan, and that's when they're pretty much convinced. Roland decides, like, you know what? We're fucking getting it.
And he allows her to keep her memories.
He says, take it or break it. I suppose I'd rather take it back to my father, but that has its own risks. We have to be careful. So, yes, didn't mean to cut you off, but the plan is definitely Rhea can't have it.
Yep.
What were you saying, Ken? I'm sorry.
I think it was significant that that he let Susan remember all of the details,
Capture memories, yeah.
even though, like, even whenever she was talking about it in her dream, is like she was drawn to the pink ball.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to be important later. I think there might be a wrench thrown in the plan because of it.
Well, chapter 6 starts with what's going on in Megis and in Hambry, especially. Everyone's pretty much ready for Reap. The very last bit of work is happening.
Fin de año.
Fin de año, end of year.
And it's a big festival.
But they also talk about how, like, people are...
Year, but
yeah,
this is an important chapter.
People are kind of, like, staying celibate during this time. They're kind of letting tensions build, and there's kind of this, like, undertone of things is not quite right.
Yep.
Everyone can kind of feel it.
Well, even Shimi gets a kiss. I loved it.
That's
great.
true, too, yes.
That was cute.
I do believe that they mentioned earlier, but they are including Shimi in on their plans. I think it's awesome that they're trusting him to pull off what he's pulling off, and it's perfect because he's somebody that everyone's going to overlook. You know, even like Coral Thorin, like she's part of Jonas's crew now, and she still has no idea that Shimi is anything but her, you know, man of all work.
Yep. I took it as she took care of Shimi.
Sort of, yeah.
Kind of did,
Sort
yeah.
of like a mother figure.
Well, we jump
there's
into
a big ass party coming up.
definitely, and everyone's ready for it.
Graph is going to be pouring from the fountains.
See,
Fireworks
we
shooting
jump to
down.
Reynolds. Sorry?
Said fireworks and shooting
sorry, guys.
powder. Tam Tam has allergies.
Oh,
Kicking ass.
that sucks.
You were saying Reynolds did what?
Yeah, like he's ridden out to Sicko and he's checking on the guys there, and
Like, they got people set up around Sicko
they're-
all over the damn
right,
place.
they're still waiting on that ambush out there. We jump to Rhea, and she is just an absolute ruin of a person. She's been pissing herself, not eating. She's sewn the dead snake head back onto the body and is wearing it around her neck. The cat has pretty much given up on her, and she is just sitting there just devouring the evil
Like
that
a
ball is
pile of
feeding her.
bones.
Mhm.
But it kind of fits, like, this image that is being painted. It fits it whenever this next part before she leaves her house, or when she leaves her house. It totally fits. I just jumped through a whole bunch of shit, but
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to leave because I can't stop talking.
I can mute myself. Probably be good too. Go ahead, Snake. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. Like if she needs to, like take a break, drink some water, have some
Yeah.
have some hot tea, or you know,
Beverage
Hey.
of your choice.
Or relax.
something nice and smooth for the throats. I'd say drink
Hot
some
toddy.
whiskey, but I
Yeah.
that's my solution for anything.
All I got is
On
apple
this
flavored
well-produced show,
wine.
it's okay if you miss 10
yeah.
minutes or so. It's
Yeah,
all right.
it's totally fine if you need to.
We're not gonna hold it against you.
Go hack somewhere. It's okay.
There's a gross
Okay.
little section here where some of those town boys are doing something really fucking horrible. They embed one
Chapter
of
7.
these flashbangs
Print it in my mind.
into a piece of liver, and then one of the like scrawny, like stray dogs eats it, and just gets his whole head blown off.
Oh,
Pretty
like
much.
this poor fucking thing.
It was 6.
It's like, okay, sometimes you know Stephen King for like his horror stuff, and like I haven't really seen much of it until like this bit, and it's like, yeah, that fits in. With some
I understood why it needed to be in here, but damn, I did not like reading that one page.
Yeah,
Poor Doge.
it was bad. It was rough getting through. But
You're like watching the movie thinking that it's going to cut away from it, but then it doesn't. It goes all the way to the end. And you're like, yes, I have the picture, asshole.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Told you.
Why do you think that was such an important image for him to put there?
Because this is the demon moon.
It's also the cruelty that humanity and the youth have.
It's like trick or treat.
That's what I was.
Last kids are doing tricking.
They're like asshole kids. They're like the bottle
Fucking-
kids in the fucking trailer park.
And the parents are so focused on getting this this party.
It's like the poor
set up.
dogs have gotten their tails cut off and everything else too. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but also I think it's like a whole other time, like old western,
Sick.
where
Well,
Cruelty.
we jump
Well, it's
to
escalating.
Cuthbert and Elaine, and they are setting their trap outside the thinny. They don't want to be there. They hate the way it makes them feel. One of the things I thought was important was you can kind of get inside of Cuthbert's head here, and the like thinny is talking to him and kind of what.
Exploits his vulnerability.
Yeah, come on, Bert, leave all this foolishness behind, the drums, the pride, the fear of death, the loneliness you laugh at because laughing's all you can think to do. Very, very much like gets inside of his head here and asks him like, "What are you waiting for?" Kind of calling him into the thing. There's a part where Cuthbert even kind of lets it get to him. He says, "Dig it deep. We don't want the wind to blow it away." Elaine gave him a look, which was remarkably hot. "Do you want to do it? Just so you can make sure it's done right?" It's the thinny, Cuthbert thought. It's working on him, too. "No, Al," he said humbly. You're doing fine for someone who's both blind and soft in the head. Go on." He uses humor, and I think that's kind of important to point out because he's very much similar to Eddie in that way, where like even though he understands the scope of what's happening and kind of the situation of what's going on, he also is willing to like laugh at it. So I think that's important to note.
shit's happening, might as well have fun with it.
Well, on their way back, they also notice there's some riders making their way out to Hanging Rock. They're very, very small from the distance that they were at, but they pretty much notice it's pretty much them changing the guard, like refreshing the men who have set the trap. So they keep an eye on them from there. We jump back to Susan, who is pretty much preparing to leave. She ends up visiting her father's office because she misses him, and she thinks it's probably the last chance she gets to hang out with him, to like be there with his things and whatnot. So she's going through some stuff, and she notices there are pages ripped out of his stockline books. The last dozen or so have been gone, and she pretty much understands at that point that her aunt Cord sold all those pages to somebody for whatever reason, but it allowed them to continue the lie that he was killed by his horse, and it kind of gave them the information that they needed in order to kind of gather up all those horses and put all that shit together without actually like being super obvious about it, because he was the horse guy. They pretty much killed him and then stole all of his books.
Yep.
Cordelia walks in on her, freaks her out. They have another argument, mostly about Will Dearborn. But they scream, and she says pretty, in a very nice way, but like, fuck off and like, don't talk to me ever again. Deep D.
I'm gonna miss whenever we get done with this area. I'm gonna miss Aunt Cord. Miss Young and So Pretty or some shit like
Miss
that.
Oh So Young and Pretty.
Oh So Young and Pretty.
Yeah.
I've heard it every week.
As soon as I sit down, I got the tickle back in the throat. I'm out.
I'm not gonna miss her. I hope she gets thrown headfirst into the thinning.
There you go.
Because she's completely forgot the responsibility that she was left with, and
it's become tainted.
She, honestly, she's one of the real villains here.
Yes. Yeah. For herself.
Long-term villains too.
And I think that's why she's kind of gone to crap, because she realizes it's all slipping through her hands.
Yes.
She's losing control.
She's realizing how much of a rotten kind of person she is too, I think.
And that she did it to herself. That realization is becoming very obvious, especially after Jonas snubbed her, right?
No, yeah. I think Steve's more.
That was the cherry on top.
She doesn't know she's rotten. It's just everything is slipping through her hands. You're right. It's all the things. It's Susan.
Susan started waking up. She started picking her shit up and fighting back.
Right.
She's had to grow up with the realization of what her shit's about to be.
Eldred, the money, and it just keeps going for her. Yeah.
Yeah. Her world is collapsing.
I know we're not done the recap, but she's kind of on the same trend as Rhea is. The same trajectory where she's just down.
Yeah, she's being
almost to the
alive.
point where you think she's cursed or something, where she has her own ball.
Yep.
And they're both doing it to themselves.
Yes.
Rhea.
There's a small spot here where we jump back to DePape, and he is back in town, and he's checking on Sheriff Avery and the deputies, and they've all got guns from some motley collection of almost fall apart guns, but they've got them and they're cleaning them, and they're getting prepared for something as well. Roland and Susan have another meeting. They talk about the plan and what to do, and Roland's like, if anything goes wrong and you come back here and these guns are still hidden, if you come back here and find these guns, take them back to my dad. Don't come back. Don't come looking for me. Take these guns back to my dad. Tell him what happened. These guns will make you believable. So he's telling her to leave if things go wrong. That night, the grinning demon moon first shows his head. You really get a good look at.
Made me think of like a goblin.
Well, you get a really good look at what Cordelia's become. She's created what they call a stuffy guy, which is it's just a scarecrow, right? It's just their name for scarecrow, but they call him stuffy guys, and she changes his clothes and turns him into a stuffy gal, and it's supposed to be Susan. And she
utters a word.
Yes.
Sorry.
So let it be done, as she says as she throws the stuffy guy onto the fire. Char you tree. I just so. There's a part here a little bit earlier where Roland is broken in on from our current quartet. Roland mentions a pony train, a cart filled with laughing children, and Eddie jumps in and says, was the pony named Charlie? And Roland says, I think not. We have a rather unpleasant word that sounds like that in the high speech. What word? Jake asked. The one, said the gunslinger, that means death. Cordelia is in some basic way casting a spell, right?
That's what I was just thinking. Like she cast this spell is it to hex her? To get her knocking off?
There's more context to this a while back. I'll try to find it.
Okay.
What was it that she said again? I thee so.
I just so. Char you tree, I just so. We jumped to about 3:30 that morning, and Stanley, the man who plays the piano at the bar, probably Shimi's dad, gets like scared by a blood-curdling scream, like, what the hell is this? They go outside, and it is Petty the Trotter on her way back from taking a giant turd butt. She's scared of the moon. The moon, Stanley, she whispered. Oh, look at the moon, would you? He looked up, and what he saw set his heart thumping, but he tried to speak reasonably and calmly. Come now, Patty, it's dust, that's all. Be reasonable, dear. You know the wind's been blowing these last few days, and no rain to knock down what it carries. It's dust, that's all. Yet it didn't look like dust. I know what I see, whispered Petty. Above them, Demon Moon grinned and winked one eye through what appeared to be a shifting scrim of blood. So it's one of those blood moons. We get those sometimes in October, especially around harvest time. Blood moon. Which is kind of fitting for what kind of work happens this night. In Chapter 7, we start with Kimba Reimer getting murdered by
Poor Kimba.
our good friend Reynolds. After that, he makes his way to guess whose room. Actually, I believe it's DePape.
DePape.
It's
Pape
the other
is in
guy.
that
So
one.
they're doing these things kind of at the same time. He kills the mayor, and then draws Farson's eyeball in blood on the wall. He also leaves something.
Huge.
What does he leave?
The lookout.
The rook skull, and he gouges his eyes out.
Drew something on the wall too.
Yeah, the good man's eyeball.
Yeah.
The only question left unanswered was whether or not Roland's quartet would be taken alive. Here we are. Now this very next morning, outside of where Roland and the boys are sleeping, and as they get on their horses and they're backing out of their barn, they pretty much get taken by the sheriff and his posse. They're accused of murdering the chancellor and the mayor. Which, of course, anyone could just say that they did it, and with the evidence that they planted, most people are going to believe it.
Yep.
Treason and murder is what they say. Roland has a serious talk with Fran Lingle, one of the big farmers in the area. He asked him, how could you do it? How would you rape your own mother if you came across her sleeping with her dress up? He's asking, like, how can you shit where you eat? You know, like these are your people, this is your town, this is your home. It's been your home for generations. And you're gonna sell it? You're gonna sell all that to the good man? And that's just Roland getting started.
Ooh, he smacks the fuck out of him without even touching him.
Yeah, hits him hard.
Hits him where it hurts, chat.
Got him, chat.
Then one of my favorite parts is the very first standoff that we get, where Roland and Jonas see each other and recognize each other and know who each other is. There's a part where Roland asks him, "Who sent you west, maggot? Couldn't have been Court. You're too old. Was it his father?" "Yeah, Court's dad. I see it in your eyes. And now you're here on the clean sea, except you're really in the west. The soul of a man such as you can never leave the west." Jonas's gun is out. Bam! He's already pissed.
Roland is tracking. Like, see, Jonas has been so fucking quick, but Roland was tracking his movement. Oh, wow. Oh, Jesus.
He says, "Watch your words, Will Dearborn. You want to watch them ever so close. I got 2 pounds of pressure on a 3-pound trigger right this second." And Roland said, "Fine, shoot me. Shoot, exile. Shoot, worm. Shoot, you failure. You still live in exile and die as you lived." Roland's like, he's not having it. It's the same thing where he pulled
done the same shit to Blaine.
Well, it's the same deal where they pulled the guns on each other, like in the beginning, right? Like, like Jonas thinks he has him, and then Roland shows up with a weapon that he's not expecting. You know, like Roland's there at his back with, telling him he knows exactly who he is, and it's enough of a shame for Jonas that it gets to him. It actually hurts him. He doesn't actually kill him. And
for a second, Roland thought he would, though.
Yeah, definitely did. He makes his way back up to the house. He takes their all the other like practice guns that Cuthbert and Elaine had, and broke them down and threw all the pieces out into the woods or whatever, like the area around them. They're not getting those back. That's when we jump to Susan. Maria is the maid, and she's waking her up, and she's telling her all this shit's happening, and all these things are going down, and them bad boys from In-World, and she's just like in a fucking tizzy. Yeah, just absolutely like lost it, and telling her like that the mayor's dead, the chancellor's dead, it was the boys.
You ain't safe here. You need to sneak out the back.
Yeah, you got to go. We jump back to Reynolds and DePape and Jonas, and they're talking about their next plans, and that's when they figure out, like, we gotta go get that fucking ball from Rhea. So the boys are arrested, and they're on their way now to get Rhea. We jump to Rhea, and it's kind of funny. She's watching I think she's a weaver. She makes rugs and tapestries, and she's watching her pretty much lose her mind. And I'm not sure if she's making her do this, or if this is just like some sort of like psychological thing happening. But this lady is like literally getting naked when the house is empty and going and licking the dust out of every corner of her house. And
she's licking the floor, isn't she?
Yeah, and like Rhea is like loving
off
it,
on it pretty much.
Fucking loving it.
No, that wasn't a thing until I found it in the book and realized I was weird.
Listen, so I think that it is her all along. Like,
you think she's causing that?
I think it's like her curse. Every time someone leaves, she does this. I think that it's like she was, whenever she was checked whenever her purity was checked, that's whenever she done this, and now she's able to look and see at all of the curses she's placed, pretty much.
So maybe
she
helped.
was inside the rainbow along with this person. That was something.
They're both somehow there, but in the middle of this like weird voyeuristic thing that she's doing, she hears the noise of horses outside, and she knows exactly who it is, because Jonas yells, "It's the big coffin hunters," and he says, "Farson wants his property. We've come to take it." That's when we have this little confrontation, and we get a really good description of Rhea, and she is definitely just as beautiful as ever.
Gorge.
She's pretty much like a fucking skeleton. She's like dead.
Skin bag.
She's pretty much dead. They strike a bargain. Jonas is like, look, I have to bring the ball back to Farson, and she obviously doesn't want to give it up. So he's like, fuck it. You know, let's go then. Load up. And
You're dead anyway.
Whenever she came up out of her cabin, all ratchet, just hobbling out with this ball above her head, and I'm like, oh shit, she's about to lose her.
That's
shit.
creepy, yeah. He knows that she's pretty much at death's door, so she'll probably die on the trail anyways. But he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to have any sort of confrontation. So he's like, "Fuck it, you know, I'll just bring you both." Yeah, and like she's like, "Well, go get my goats and go get my wagon, and like I'll like we'll all go to town." And of course, like she's been stuck in that ball so much that the goats are dead.
Babe had to go find that shit there.
The goats are dead.
Not coming back from that nap.
But they say here that they hook it up to one of their horses. She doesn't realize that she's dying, but somehow she has the energy for this. Like she's into the cart and cackling. That's where
I think of the queen being led by the queen being led in a sled off of like Lion Witch of the Wardrobe, where she's sitting in the back just like cackling and
kind of, yes,
doing her shit.
There's a definite feeling of like
she's like a witch, like
yeah, like real. She mentions like, oh, we'll go give the mayor a visit, and then Jones is like, the only way you're gonna be doing that is if you meet him somewhere, you know, where like
no magic.
Yeah, it'll be a place where no magic is needed to see far. Yeah, and she's like, well, I believe our mayor has met with an accident. So she's definitely like, even though the ball has been showing her these things, she didn't see the murder last night. She didn't see either of those murders. Like she didn't know that was going on. So it's like what she was seeing was just these like small, petty. Yeah, like petty little things, and that was just like filling her up. Like she was so hungry for like the suffering of the people around her. It was not necessarily like just evil things. Like she was looking for those really painful, like agonizing
trauma.
Moments of people's lives. Yeah. That's where we ended, right at chapter 8, called The Ashes.
And I did not want to stop.
You definitely have to.
That way I don't get ahead and mix my shit up.
Yeah,
I real do have to.
I tried that like 1 week, and I almost like did the whole fucking thing. Trying to get to the pages here. Chapter 8. Let's see.
Chapter 10?
What do we think before we get
Or
too
more.
far ahead of ourselves here?
I got a lot of things I'd like to comment on.
Yes, please. Now's the time. I think we'll only get 2 chapters this next week. We'll go from 8
bigger?
and 9.
They thicker.
I think
Yeah,
chapter 10 is...
Chapter 10 is huge.
Yeah,
Then it goes all
very,
the way up
very
to part
long
4.
chapter.
Beneath the Demon Moon 2.
Yeah, chapter 10 would put us... Like if we read chapter 10, it would put us...
It's almost 100 pages, just chapter 10.
It would put us 150 pages.
Too
So,
much.
yeah, either we do 150 or we do about 80.
80.
And then we can do chapter 10, the next book club.
It's already Sunday.
Yeah. So that's what we'll do. And now that the summary is over, I open the floor up to any other thoughts, because like listen, like there's a lot of setup happening right here, and like I'm glad we stopped where we did, because too many moving pieces can get confusing, and while he does a good job of like piecing them together for you, I think that taking a little bit of time and having a chance to discuss it, because there's a lot of shit that happened.
I move to open the floor to discussion on Merlin's Rainbow.
Here.
Okay. I have a second. Great.
Third.
First, I want to say this fall, when I was reading, even though this book came out in 1997, I really felt like I was thinking about social media, some of the doom scrolling you can do. I don't know why I felt that connection so strongly. Maybe because I do it occasionally, but it felt like I could look into you're looking into the other lives on the screen and seeing all that. So I thought that was kind of neat, especially since what is the ball? Is it technology from the future? Is it magic? My next question, and then I'll stop talking.
Please don't.
If these balls, there's supposed to be one for each guardian. So far, I felt like guardians are supposed to be, I don't know, a force of good holding up the world, but these balls seem to be tearing it apart in what they do, or at least that's how it's being utilized with Rhea's influence. Maybe there's some more nuance there. I'm not sure.
Ooh. You think the balls could be sort of like the conscience of the Guardians? Like
They could be like a spell set to counteract the Guardians.
Yeah.
They could be like kind of the foil of the Guardians, while the Guardians are kind of there to hold the beam up. Maybe the rainbow was built to break it down.
Or it could have been built to keep the balance. I mean,
or it's as simple as whoever possesses the ball, it takes on their conscience
or destruction.
But then,
when Farson has it, he can see his next plans, but he knows he can't keep it because it'll destroy him.
But
oh look, if you think back to Chardic, he knew whenever his forest was being fucked with, and would come and disperse judgment as he saw fit. So he sort of knew as well.
I think that may have been just the robotness of him.
They said balls could show doorways in that.
The robot, but the ball it was able to tap into and program to adjust it. You know what I mean?
I think it said some showed the future and the past. And
yeah. But never the good.
Did it say that?
Or at least whenever.
Did it say never the good?
Or at least whenever Rhea was looking at it.
Steven.
The one thing about the ball that I keep drawing parallels to, and I love the connection to social media and what it does to an entire group of people who are around this ball. I can't help but think of the Lord of the Rings and the ring and what it does to Bilbo and Frodo. And I guess you could say that there's entire books written about things like this. But that ball's been in town long enough, and Rhea has definitely overused it. And it really makes you wonder.
The town?
Well, it makes you wonder what it's doing to the town, and if there's any kind of connection. I never thought about that, Steve. Because, you talk about those boys with the firecracker, and you talk about the woman licking the floor, and just how they're on the edge of just executing each other, with a moment's notice. And you go, is there something deeper happening here? Even Aunt Cordelia there with her desperation.
The insanity has been rising. It started with tails, and now it's brutalizing these dogs. We're seeing escalation.
Everything is building. It's like a fucking snowball or a
avalanche. You think that's why no one's fucking? Is because they're all kind of
pent up aggression,
resenting each other.
It says that's tradition.
Yeah, it's tradition around this time to save it up and then go crazy that night.
But it's just the perfect time to do it because it magnifies the ball's influence. It kind of paints the full picture.
That demon that demon's moon is pink. Now, in my little web of like things I got going on here, it's got an eye, and there's a little bit where we're scared of that eye. Like Susan and Roland both look up and they're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
And this ball is pink, and we always see a lot of connections to the moon right around Rhea's chapters. And it makes me wonder, like, I want to know how the ball works, right? So part of me is like, wow, is it the moon? Is it like, is
I'm sure it
like
has something to do with it.
this is the time where, you know, ghosts and demons come out to play? The stars
The
are
other thing
aligned.
is we've never seen anybody else hold the ball and look at it. Even when they've come to take it away from Rhea, Rhea still holds it and says, "Well, I'll come with you." So you never get to see Jonas hold it and realize how the ball speaks to him.
But wasn't there mention of the feeling of having to touch it? Like they were afraid to touch it.
Susan looked in
Susan
through
wanted
the
to.
cracks in the wall.
And
Yeah.
she wanted to. And even after
It was
like
calling to
they
her.
hypnotize her, she talks about how she wants to touch it.
Yeah, that's why I said it's so dangerous and it's gonna fuck shit up here in a few chapters.
Well, I mean, the story is called Wizard and Glass. So, I'll be honest. I didn't make the connection with the art until just now.
Hold up. What?
Who's the wizard?
What do you mean?
Right,
The
Steve.
wizard's the man in black.
Yeah, he's the one that just showed up.
Yes.
Talk to
That's right,
Jonas.
yes. Yeah.
They left the rook skull when they killed the mayor, and it's inside the ball. It's inside the ball.
I had drawn that conclusion last week. I forgot it.
Yeah, he's
The
definitely the
tower's
wizard.
involved too.
And
The
the
what?
and the pink thing is the pink ball is the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I made that correlation a couple weeks ago.
I'm sad they didn't go with the pink color scheme.
I am too, actually.
They should have. Yeah.
This yellow is
This one
cool. But
This one doesn't even have that. I mean, it is cool. And then, like, this is the entire picture.
yeah.
Background picture there, is that a skull?
Yeah.
On the other
Right.
side, flip
Here.
Yeah, it's a skull, yes. Okay.
It's like in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the moon almost.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the demon moon. I don't know.
Yeah, and it is kind of pink. It is kind of pink.
It's round. So I
So
say that.
one other thing I wanted to talk about is the boys' plan. It's a huge, massive plan. It was for it to have worked would have taken a lot of ka to get in lined up, and I just
Everything had to
wondered.
line up.
I'm just wondering if they bit off more than they could chew, and they never even got a chance to execute it. To be honest, and, that's kind of an interesting.
Steve, I think you're onto something because I also have a tangent. I'm going to stay on your line, but Eye Bolt Canyon. We've been talking about these eyes, and everything in my little diagram here says the eye is evil. So here they are taking on something with this thinny. And the thinny's evil. We know that because, well, maybe not evil, but it's hungry. It's asking for them. Come on in. And this power is extremely
It's
huge.
playing at their weakness.
And they're trying to utilize that.
It sounds like the same power as the glass.
It's a huge power to wield.
I really like it when you guys talk about cool shit.
Well, and that's part of the disadvantage you're at, because you could talk about things, but you could also let too much slip. So it's,
I try not to. Yeah.
No, I know.
So the glass has the same kind of power and same kind of influence as, say, the doorkeepers between our worlds. That kind of back end shit. Like, that's the magic that's in Roland's world. The gatekeepers, the
Yeah, it would have to be all the
glass,
worlds, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because that's what's holding everything together and keeping it apart. Or crashing it together. I mean, it all depends on which way you look at it.
Because
for
they
sure.
said the globes will also show doorways throughout the,
Yeah.
the area too.
And it already mentioned that. Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry. Sorry.
no,
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of
so we are
episode 20.
We're seeing this plan. That I do have to agree with Steve. Like, it's kind of a shitty plan. Like, there's a lot of
Shit they can go wrong.
long shots. Like, they're taking big risks here, and it's 4 of them versus 200.
Oh, and they don't even know about the Man in Black. They think they're just dealing with Jonas and maybe, like, it's interesting because the pigeons are dead. They can't even communicate with their fathers.
They know that this is huge, but they don't know how huge. But it's either going to make him or break him, and we know Roland lives. Spoiler.
Yeah, maybe that's the tragedy of it all.
Yeah.
Or at least he lives in this one.
I do like how it's obvious that we know that he's not with his friends now. And so that there is a big question of, like, you know, how does Roland with his friends end up Roland with nobody when we met him? Like, like, that's obviously what happens. So
not even his horse.
Right.
Rasher's not even with him.
Yeah.
Right. There's a huge amount of time.
It's been like a shitload of years.
But at the
So
same
much
time, it's
time.
like they even mention
moves
it in
differently
this. It's either this reading or last reading, but they mention it. Time is a face in the water.
Yeah, that was a cool line.
They've said that a couple times.
Yeah, and it's like that's kind of how this little sleepy village. That's one of their, like, kind of colloquial sayings, and I think it's really important to, you know, like, touch on that because they know the world's moved on, you know, and then, like, what does that mean though? Like, they even talk about the great old ones. And it's kind of a question, like, what they did wrong. Was it machine? Was it magic? Like, something happened and they broke
That's like
the
the
world.
running question, and we're seeing little bitty sprinkles of how the world has moved on.
Right,
shit.
and like now, like, it's obvious that, like, this culture that's lived here in this town of Hambry has been there for generations. But, like, also way before that, there was people there who left behind Sitco. You know, there's people there who left behind, you know, like, tanker trucks, and they've got generators and like, there's, like, these relics of this past. But it's also, like, to them just so far back, but for us it's like kind of our
Now.
current era.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to, like, keep that idea of time being malleable, but also, like, you know, time has to pass. Like, time has to, like, push forward here, and, you know, like, while we're sitting here in this story, even, like, they're talking about how time is moving different for the people listening to the story.
This is like a story about way after Arwen. Way after.
Is it though? Like,
And then
that's
it's
like
also-
that's the
Also,
thing.
a story about way before.
It's
Or-
also before it because it was back in the 50s and 60s, 80s, and
See,
shit.
but, like, here's
Then we're
kind of,
getting
like,
Roland's.
throw a monkey wrench in
Roland's
that. Like,
past.
it's also possible that those things, those relics, those things we see that are from our time could have just, like, passed over, like, into this through a doorway
By
of
the
some kind,
thinnies?
maybe like a thinny.
Yeah.
Somebody
Like-
could have brought them over.
Right. Right. It could have been a thing that was, like, not already here, but then because of the world's fabric breaking down, they kind of come through.
It's like whenever we have abandoned buildings.
Yes, but
Businesses just get abandoned.
but it would be like if that abandoned building was from a different dimension that you'd never existed in, and because the physics of like, even like the metaphysics of your existence have been kind of drifting for however many generations, that, like, it's just widely accepted that there's doors to other worlds, and there's magical items, and there's these technological wonders that are, you know, fucking sentient trains, and, like, there's a a whole city like run by a machine. Like there's all these really like big futuristic type concepts, but it's also kind of like covered in dust and like old as fuck, and no one trusts that shit anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of old as fuck, I want to circle to the ball a little more. So we talked about a wizard, and I wanted to just do one line from the Gunslinger, one paragraph from you. Roland says to Jake, if there were two, now I think they must have been brothers, maybe even twins, but did I ever see them together? No, I never did. This bad man, this Martin, he was a wizard, like Merlin. Do you know Merlin? Merlin and Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, Jake said dreamily. Yes, Arthur L, did you say true? So I think that's interesting too. There's more wizards at play than just the two we know.
Like Merlin himself, it's supposed to be Merlin's rainbow. Like he's the wizard who helped Arthur become king.
But is that Walter? I can buy that.
It's possible.
I mean, very well could.
Is
We're
Martin
only seeing...
Walter?
Me, yes.
I think so too.
Yeah, I do. I think so.
Me, there's no
I
doubt.
think he's also.
I think he's also
the
Randall
guy
Flagg.
Yep, I think he's Randall Flagg. I think he's the guy that fucked with Mort. To push him. I think that he's also the one that TikTok.
Yep, Andrew Quick.
Yep.
All that.
He goes by so many names, and he's a shapeshifter we've seen in.
We've also seen we've heard him called
a couple chapters ago.
What, the Ageless Stranger?
Yeah.
Heard that.
And don't forget, there's the ability to go through doors and go into people's bodies.
He definitely knows about the doors between the worlds, and he says, he very much agreed with Jake when Jake said, "Go then, there are other worlds than these." He was very much in agreement with that. I mean, he pretty much is the one that killed Jake to put him there.
But notice, have we gone through any doors that don't go through a mind? Like, to get through New York, Roland had to go through people.
I guess it depends, like, does the house count as having a mind when Jake went through the haunted mansion?
Because it was protected by a gatekeeper. The house was alive.
So then, like, the house
Not
itself
by-
is a consciousness? Like an entity?
Does there have to be a physical part to this? Yeah.
No.
It's just a metaphysical
Mind. I would agree,
Mind
yeah.
fuck.
I would say that would count as the mind of the house would be the gatekeeper, like the creature that lives and, like, keeps the door open or closed.
Yeah.
It just disguised itself as a house in our universe, so we'd see it as something acceptable, but it itself came apart as pieces of the house. So I would say that's possible.
It's just like this thing, and then it just consumed what was around it. So I mean, I don't think it was necessarily the house, but it definitely used up the house.
A lot of Stephen King's
I think it was
monsters
above
also
it.
prey on your imagination. So it's possible that, like, because Jake wanted to give it physical form of the thing that was after him, it kind of fed on that idea that it was a monster and it was after him.
house is
So
gonna
it
eat me,
became the monster that Jake thought it was.
It's kind of an interesting thing because of this story and the time we've spent in it, that we kind of get to know this world and think of it with its different things. Like they've talked about how a lot of the animals aren't muties anymore, that some of them are doing really well. And then we think about Roland's world, where he's telling the story and the area that they went through on the train ride, and how there was all kinds of crazy snakes and dragons and whatever else coming out of the ground.
Those slow mutants were all just
Scorpions.
like glowing, disgusting.
Did he have the deer with the extra leg?
Yeah, when Blaine
And
was
you-
driving over.
Yeah.
And so time is very much a huge part of this, because even in the first books, we were trying to go, okay, they're playing Hey Jude in the bar. What does it mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it pulls you into the 70s, but it's not necessarily true, and we're seeing this now too, where Roland's telling the story is
Well, even the
not necessarily
characters,
same
right?
world.
Like Susanna was pulled out of the '60s, and
Yeah.
Roland pulled Eddie and Jake from like the '80s.
Yep.
So something else has happened, because we hear about the muties in Hambury, and they're not so many muties anymore. Like, they're getting better. But then we know in Roland's win, from where our original quartet's at, shit has hit the fan.
Do you have a guess as to
Again.
what as to why? It's
The
staring,
good man.
right? It's been staring at us, right? Like there's something going on with that guy for sure. So
Well, everyone's
And the
trying to
world-
build the world back up right now.
Yeah, it's
We're
like
all
they
trying.
got knocked down a peg and now they're working. And then the good man's coming in and he's gonna fucking tear down
Kool-Aid
house.
Man. Yeah, he's gonna kick his ass through the door.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah,
And then we have all the Guardians that are to be gone, because I want to believe that there are still quite a few more Guardians in the Hambury story compared to where Roland is now. I mean, that's many years where shit's gone wrong and the muties are getting worse, and you have the whole fucking cave of slow mutants, and then it mentioned slow mutants a little bit earlier in this chapter what we just read.
So what happens now? What happens
Uh,
next?
We read, man.
Well, so let me
I'm
just
gonna
tell
look
you.
at it.
okay?
And I heard it has some good stories. It's gonna tell me. It's gonna talk to me.
Yeah. I can tell
I'm
you
on a
one
wild
thing.
fucking ride.
You probably don't expect it.
Really?
Really.
Because
So go ahead. Steve.
how? It's all bad news now. How- like
I mean, it looks like it's very direct.
I mean, in
From all
the,
the shit that we know already, the pattern, Roland, he's just stuck in a loop. And, like, she's gonna be consumed by the pink orb. And,
it's a thing.
the good man is going to rain hell and obliterate most of the gunslingers.
I love this. This is this is great. I'm eating this up.
There's a lot of shit that could happen. A lot of shit. Cordelia's going down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
we're
know.
we're gonna hear some more fighting between
Steve?
our quartet.
Do you have any predictions? Just
Somehow Roland's going to get his guns back. And I don't know how.
okay.
But he's going to get separated from everybody. So I think he's going to... I don't know how he gets separated without everybody else.
He
it's-
leads everyone away after they get broken out.
Oh, is he going to get sucked into the thinny? Like, or get...
That's actually
No one's
Because
mentioned the
the-
Finny till just now. So
because the explosion doesn't go off very well, or like they plan to, so he has to lead them in. Yeah, that sounds great.
But he doesn't talk about going back to them. He talks about going to the tower. It's always the tower, the tower, the tower. It's never, oh, I got to get back to my friends. I got to get back to Susan. It's never what he says. He just talks about them
Yeah, because if
in retrospect.
maybe if he gets to the tower, he can get them back.
Thing is, if he was changed worlds from them, these doors that he would use for Jake and Eddie and Susanna, he would be looking for his friends through those doors. But that's not what his reality is. So
well, so
But you
like that
can't
like
get there without the
I
tower.
I don't know if you guys remember it, but there's a part where Roland does say that Cuthbert dies with a joke in his mouth.
Yeah,
So like
that was in the last book, I think.
yes, like he
joke in his mouth.
he
Why'd the Cuthbert cross the road? Oh,
And we thought that it was going to happen again to Eddie whenever he was
talking
fucking
shit.
with
Yeah.
Blaine.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, oh shit, he's going to die with a joke in his mouth too. But it turned out to be what saved him.
I love that you guys' predictions were so good. Those are very good predictions.
So off the mark.
I still don't know how we'll be surprised, but okay.
Yeah.
I
Even if I do, I'm like, how the
stand
fuck
by
did it
that,
happen?
Steve. I stand by that. I am looking forward to the end of this book. It's going to be awesome. We got a couple chapters left for next week. Anything that we missed? You guys want to?
Final thought. Can, you said how many Guardians are left? I would say the only connection we can make if we're working with the balls being connected to the Guardians, we know that a few balls have been broken based on what Steven said.
And a few Guardians would be gone as well.
If we want to make that connection.
Yeah, if we're correlating those two.
Holy shit!
What?
The pink ball.
The pink
is related to Chardic.
The bear?
Because if you take where Roland was young, it hasn't been that long since Chardic was all right and dandy. I mean, it's been 100 years or so, but time moves differently in his wind. But what if whenever the glass gets shattered, Chardic gets fucked up? I don't know.
What if?
Gotta go to bed.
Ew.
Stop
Snake
that.
says he wants to see that again.
Think of her. We're still live. Think of her broadcast.
Now I gotta make the rated. Now it's rated X. God.
Lotus is right into it. He's bobbing his head around.
I can only upload this to Pornhub now.
Only fans. Just crop my head out as only cans. There you go. You were saying, sorry, with the the glasses are tied into the Guardians. You were saying, Modus.
I don't know.
Another tangent.
I don't know if we can make that connection. I think we have a loose connection to the Guardians, but I think it's, as far as anything goes, it's a fine leap to make.
It's a good start for sure.
But then again,
Man in Black is still the puppet master.
The great ones. Who are the fucking great ones? They're the ones that made all the robots.
The great old ones, yeah. They talk about how there was a great cataclysm, but they don't know like what it is or what caused it or like how it happened. But like they broke the world.
And then it talks about Merlin, so you think it back like way back before us.
But it could be a different,
you know what I mean?
like just a completely
Be a different place.
Yeah, it could be like a different universe's version of Merlin, and it came after a great civilization instead of before a great civilization. It's just a correlation, I think, because you're supposed to think about like legendary characters in the past who were called to lead and guided by a great wise mind. Beyond that, like how can you draw any real correlations at all?
Or is our world fucking based off of that?
It feels like a monomyth, right?
It's
like
the
you were saying.
Same shit that we've had, like we grew up with. Same legends that changed worlds, dictated how everything went. And now we're seeing a darker side because it's not in our win.
If you guys like that shit, where like all these like different worlds have the same stories, you might like Joseph Campbell. He did work in the 70s and 80s that influenced Star Wars. Yeah, he influenced Star Wars and that whole story and the cycle of the story based on this idea of the hero's journey.
The hero's journey, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't. There's some cool reading in there. I'll go read some for next time and bring some thoughts back.
Cool.
Yeah.
Steve, do you want to make any predictions at all? Standing by as he's trying to figure it out.
Death and destruction.
There's a lot to think of.
And Roland goes head first into the thinny by himself.
Well, I cannot wait till next week's meeting. Hopefully we
clear up some questions.
Yeah, we get some questions answered. Hopefully this next chapter, but I think after that, we may only have 3 sessions left for this whole book.
I think it's going to be 3 more after this.
3
when
total.
you look at it, you think it's doable. but
This
it's still
one
not.
coming up and 2 more. That's what I think.
Yep. That's
Does
what it
this
looks like
story
on
go
mine.
into the next book?
I mean, yeah.
Well, I know that.
I
if
don't
you
think
look
it's a cliffhanger like this book was from, or the last book to this book. I don't think it's like that.
You see the cracks? That's each spot
Yeah.
we stopped at.
Yeah.
And so we have 2. We have this one.
Yeah,
and
that
then
one.
2
and then
more.
probably two more.
Right,
we might be able to make it
maybe
in
there.
one if like a lot of that backward stuff is just
Is afterward?
afterward like material, but who knows?
Nope. Afterwards, like 3 pages.
Yeah, so probably just make it 2 more sessions after this one. Call it.
Yeah.
Dope. That puts us with like finishing Wolves of the Kala by the end of the year.
Oh, there's
That'd be
only
cool.
2 chapters. Yeah,
That's
so chapter
cool.
2 to the end of the book.
Don't read it. Stop it. Don't
I'm
even
not,
look back
I'm
there
not.
anymore. Close that
All
up.
guys chilling got shoes.
See people's names and start associating.
Yeah,
shit.
stop it.
Close it.
Close it up.
I said shoes in the road. That's it.
Can't do that
The
either.
names of them are fucking.
Not
The
the
names of the
shoes.
chapters are funny.
That's my favorite chapter name in the entire book. We're not there yet, so I'm not gonna say it. but
It's a good one, guys. Say goodnight. We're gonna call it here. Thanks so much. It's been kind of a longer episode, but I feel like we needed it because we have a lot to talk about now. Like things are becoming more bigger picture. So, really appreciate you guys sticking through. For the folks at home, thanks for hanging out, and catch you next time. Say goodnight, guys.
Night, guys.
Good night. Night, P-Man.
Good night, P-Man.